Welcome to Let's Talk About It with Sons and Daughters. I'm your host, Arden Bavir, and today we are talking about creativity. You know, a lot of us today think that to be creative, it just means that you are an amazing graphic designer or you're an artist or a musician, and that's what creativity looks like, but that's not true. Within every single one of us, there is a unique expression of creativity that God has placed inside of you that is waiting to be discovered. So we actually had Jeremy Riddle and Steffany Gretzinger sit down with us and talk about this idea of creativity. So listen in. We are so super honored that you guys are sitting down and taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, we want to start out with the I am statement and just kind of ask you, we talked a little bit about it before, but just ask you, what does the I am statement of I am creative, so I use my talents to reflect God's glory, kind of speak and play out within your guys' lives?
Yeah, it's really good. I'll just say this, to start off, I love that you're making that statement and you're leading everyone to make that statement, because that's the truest thing. Some people are like, oh, I'm not creative, or I'm not creative, or, that's a common phrase. And the truth is you are actually creative. You may not have discovered how you're creative, or might not have recognized the way that God has gifted you to be creative. Yeah. Because when we think of creative, we think of some super artsy person who lives in their own little world and paints abstract things, and like that. There's a much broader definition of creativity that needs to come out. You can be creative administratively. You can be creative as a plumber. Yeah. You can be creative in every realm. You were designed to bring that kind of ingenuity and creativity to whatever field, business, etc. Sky's the limit. So first of all, I just want to affirm, awesome. that statement. That's really, really powerful. And obviously the way that, a lot of creativity has worked out for me, it's been more along the, in the realm of music and songwriting and that kind of a thing. And I love it. And actually, it's not even true. Like, when it comes to remodeling houses, I love to remodel. I love, for me, honestly, I have to create an environment. Yeah. And that's part of the creative process for me, is to create an environment, and then and that environment inspires me to then create something else. So I love aesthetics. I love design. I love all that kind of stuff. It just moves me. So I've done that. We've flipped a bunch of houses. And it's been actually felt kingdom, like to make a house beautiful and then to hand it off. That's actually felt like a really awesome. Kingdom thing, So anyway, I think creativity it's like a two-part journey. There's a part that you have to go on alone, just to discover. A lot of times this happens in childhood, when we just begin to discover, oh wow, I have a gifting for this, or there's something happens in me when I do this activity, and I've had to go on that journey. Music initially for me had nothing to do with trying to be anybody in music, or even try and write a hit song. Music became, for me initially, was just getting my heart out. I couldn't get my heart out any other way. That's awesome. I'm like, only when it's coupled, when I sing it, do I feel it the way that's happening inside of me, And so that's where I began to write songs, and then that took, that's a lot of different journeys. So I've gone on that journey as an individual. I've also realized the power and dynamic of collaboration. Yeah. I think where you find your family, and you find your people, and all of a sudden this other part of you that's in lockdown. You can spend hours alone trying to unlock this part of you, but it will never come unlocked until you find your people. And there are certain songs that don't come unlocked. There's certain songs you have to write alone, but there are certain songs that won't come unlocked until you get with the right person. And they're like, I have the key. Like that little door you're struggling to open, I got it. And you're like, and you're just so stoked, It's just a massive thing. So I think it's really a two-part journey. And obviously, our journey at Bethel, we only know each other. We only, that was like the place that drew us, because it was just a burn for His presence and His glory. And then we learned how to create as a family in that context. And we can go through story after story just about how God showed up in powerful ways as we began to learn each other, and how we've grown in this journey. And I'll let Steph speak to that. But wow.
No, I love it. I'm just listening. I should have probably been thinking more about what I would say, but I love listening. Don't want to miss that. I think, we were created, He's our creator, God, who is uncreated, the only one who is uncreated, made us for his pleasure, for connection. So I think when we create, it's that space where it's a connection with him. It's where we co-create with the only one who is uncreated. It's wild.
That's
I don't
crazy,
even, you don't know who could unpack that, but it's beautiful. So we come alive because it's why we're alive. We were created by him. So I think everything stands at attention when we create something. You know, I'm creative as a mommy. As a mom, every day you're like, how do we make this fun? How do we make this beautiful? How do we make this moment memorable? And that takes creativity. It takes a partnership with Holy Spirit. He's the only one who created originally, so we can only create in partnering with him something that gives life. So I think it also comes out in song. I married someone who builds houses. He's a furniture designer. He's an artist. He's a painter. He makes clothes. I mean, like, he's crazy. Like, this guy's nuts. And so that desire, like, I wanted to be one with someone who created something that I had never created. And so what we do together is that much more beautiful. And so I just think creativity draws us into community. I think we do find our people, and then when we find them, they pull something else out of us that we could never have created on our own.
Yeah.
It's beauty. It's It's so much beauty. I think in community, it cultivates humility to create something together.
Yeah.
Because isolation crushes creativity. But when we find our people, you realize, oh, that wouldn't have come out if you weren't here. And it keeps us humble. It keeps us connected and centered.
Yeah.
So.
That's so good. I love the pairing of people with creativity, because a lot of people think, I'm creative, so this is my idea. And there's, like you said, so much beauty in doing it together.
Yes.
What I want to ask is, you know, you think about writers and they get to their writer's block, or songwriters and they get to the one-hit wonder. How do you deal with, like, kind of the road bumps in being a creative person, instead of thinking, oh, well, I did this and maybe I'm just not creative? Like, how do you persist and keep that creativity growing?
I'll be real quick because I love hearing what you have to say about these things. I don't think that writer's block exists. I think that it is a false reality. I think that typically when we get stuck, it's because we stop looking at the one who is most inspiring. I think the world stops in the middle, like in Middle Earth somewhere, and gets caught in the soul realm. But we were meant to be mind, body, and spirit connected fully to the source, who is the creator. So when we unplug from our source, we only get about as inspiring as heartbreaking songs and sadness. And that tends to be what moves the world, is like sadness. Wow. There's a lot of songs that we're like, oh, that really moves me. Well, it moves you, but it didn't change you, did it? No. So the only transforming sort of creativity we can have, and that is creativity, it is, but there's a higher level. There's a higher place, there's a deeper place. And it's to be connected to him, because there is creativity that comes from joy is what transforms. And it's not that we don't sing sad songs, because those need out. Those need out. But there's a higher thing. And so if we create connected to him, he's an endless resource of songs and sounds and dances and beautiful designs. He's endless. And so we never run out of things to say if we actually stay connected. We get over ourselves.
That's awesome. Good. Yeah, that's really good.
I really agree. I do think, though, we're not machines. We're human beings. And because of that, there are rhythms, there are things that our hearts need to continue to stay in a creative flow. And when you overwork yourself, when you're dealing with too much stress or anxiety, or there's all these other factors that begin to become obstacles, they become things that can in a sense keep that, like, basically stop up that well. You can get offended. You can deal with unforgiveness. You can go through a lot of things that actually block the well that you were called to release. And so I think creativity is a thing. I've had moments where I feel so depressed, and you're just like, I don't think I'll ever write another song again. And then I've had to go to those things and go like, okay, that's not real. Like Steph was saying, that's not real. There's something in, messing with my well. There's something, exactly. And so I've had to go like, oh, Jerry, you're just tired. or you need to take a rest, and you need to chill out, and you might need to create space. Like this is not, again, not machines. Like if you're able to sit down and write a song in an hour and a half, good for you. I actually don't work that way. Yeah. Like I have to designate a significant chunk of time for this thing to like be relaxed enough, to grow, like to be natural enough for my heart to be like, oh, you are feeling something. Oh, yeah, like like it just kind of bubbles up into, it takes time, for me. And so you learn, like in this creative journey, what your whole package needs, mind, body, spirit, like to create well. And that's every piece of your life is connected to what you create. So the rhythms that you have with your family, how your marriage is doing, will either become an obstacle to you creating, or it will become like another thing that lifts you. Like how you steward your friendships, how your relationship with God, all of it touches creativity. So like the better we live life, the easier, more effortlessly we're able to create. Wow. The more we walk in purity before the Lord, the less there is the muck that we have to wade through to release the pure thing that God's given us. It's all connected. I think that's what I want to say. So,
just as an observation to what you're saying, isn't it funny? Maybe you and Katie experience this, but Stephen and I definitely do. It blocks creativity if we're not well, but it also makes us really unwell if we're not creative, because we were born for it. Yeah. So when we get like grumpy with each other, we're like, hey, you had any time to just make something?
Do something. Yeah.
Go. Stephen's like, go write a song about it. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, why don't you go build something? Because you're getting fussy in here. And it's amazing how that happens, but we realize we were born for this. And when we haven't been doing it, we kind of like get in this like frumpy place, and we're like, oh man. So then we go do something inspiring and beautiful together, or separate, whatever we need. I just wanted to say that. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for showing us, your hearts on this, and even bringing to mind the community and creative aspect. Yeah. It's such a joy to sit down with them, and if you want to, you need to go check out their albums on Spotify, YouTube, and it's just, it's amazing to have you here. So thank you so much.
It's so good. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys enjoyed our conversation with Jeremy and Steffany. We know that we enjoyed it. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure that you guys subscribe. Leave us a comment, any things that you guys want us to continue to talk about. We love having discussion around hard things because we feel like it's needed for this day and age. So please make sure that you rate our podcast, share it. Also, if you guys want to become an ambassador, you can go to www.sonsanddaughters.tv to apply today. Until next time.